Did you hear that distortion? Like the crackle?
No, I didn't.
Oh, all right. It was real loud. So I'm rebooting here. All right, I'll do it again. Chris Scalzi here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss the tech thriller not called The Net. Man, it's incredible how far we've come, isn't it, with this kind of stuff? Anyway, John Cho is Brian Mills as an Apple tech genius in Searching. We're also going to... I'm excited about this. We finally started our classic martial arts marathon, and this is all curated by Matt, and he started us off with Fist of Fury. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we're going to wrap up our 2018 summer bracket. It is September, so it's time to go back and see what we picked, and if the film we thought was going to be the best one ended up being the best one. We're talking stuff like Avengers Infinity War, Mission Impossible Fallout, The Happy Time Murders, Hereditary, lots of great stuff. So we'll have to see who ends up winning it now compared to who we picked back in the day. But let's start everything off with a clip from Searching.
I'm Margot.
I haven't been able to reach Margot. When was the last time you saw her?
The study group only went till 9.
I think we're gonna go late.
No, she definitely left at 9. I'm Margot.
Did she mention anything unusual? Was she acting strange?
I'm Margot.
Where are you?
She's been transferring funds for the last 6 months.
I'm Margot.
We found blood in the vehicle.
How did David respond?
These problems usually start in the household.
Mr. Kim, is everything okay?
Everything is great. Margot and I are...
She had cash in her car.
He felt bad about everything.
She was my best friend.
Oh my God.
Told me she ran away!
I didn't know her. I didn't know my daughter.
So John Cho is a single dad who has a lovely young daughter named Margot. She's a bit, I don't know, Matt, is she a bit of an outcast? She's doesn't seem to really fit in with the crowd, though we don't really know that in the beginning, right?
True, yes.
So they lost the mother, John Cho's wife, to cancer, and then he's been raising her on his own. And one day, she goes missing. And he has to then figure out, obviously, what happened to her. Where's Margot? Deborah Messing plays the detective assigned to the case to help find his missing daughter. But what's unique about this, Matt, is that this whole thing is focused more on just tech, right? So there's no camera shoots. This is all done via different forms of technology, be it FaceTime or police footage, or I don't know what other stuff, but just video cameras on the street, street cams, all that kind of stuff. And it's just follows the progression as a mystery unfurls as Cho is trying to figure out what happened to his daughter. Mm-hmm. Now, we were both surprisingly big fans, right, of Unfriended, that original film, that tech horror, the internet horror film that was exceptionally well done. Mm-hmm. This then there was the sequel, right? Unfriended Dark Web, which we both found. Can we say underwhelming? Are we going to be charitable and just say
charitable and say underwhelming? Yes.
So far, this is, I guess, is this the hit new genre? So like we had found footage for a while, and would you consider this like an offshoot of found footage?
Yeah, I would, for sure. It seems very to sound pretentious, because that's what we like to do.
Yeah,
maybe. It's like it's kind of a new form of cinema verite, if you will. It's all very focused on like you said, screens. Everything is through a screen, and it's all kind of voyeuristic kind of thing. But it's a neat conceit, and it can be underwhelming, like as it was with Dark Web, or it can be actually surprisingly effective, like it was for Unfriended, and I would have to say for this film as well.
There you go. So that's what I was going to ask you. Is this film, is it a good kind of mystery thriller, even though it may be, I guess that's a question. Is it hampered by its, and I don't want to say it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not what's not trick or it's
Conceit.
sure. That's a much more fancy word than the one I'm thinking of, so I appreciate that. So yeah, is it hampered by what it's trying to do and its presentation, or were you still able to enjoy the thrills and the mystery? It sounds to me like the latter for you.
Yeah, I was definitely able to enjoy it, and I don't know if I enjoyed it more because of the kind of conceit that they build and kind of the little pieces of things that you have to pay attention to, because there's all these little bits and pieces of things in the margins. It's all seems to be very well thought out. You know, on its surface, if you took this out and you just put this in a traditional multi-camera kind of film, it's a pretty rote story. I mean, there's nothing really groundbreaking here, and I don't know if it would be a decent thriller, but it wouldn't be anything that you'd be like, okay. I think really the kind of structure of this makes it, for better or worse. Maybe that'll date it someday, but right now I think it's something we haven't seen.
No, I think that's interesting, right? Because I did bring up that comparison in the opening of the show of The Net, which is a film that is horribly dated. But I think that's part of two is the limitations and then the projection of what the technology was going to be.
Sure.
Right. Which is always just a big, big gamble. So, no, I agree with you. I thought they did a great job even subverting my expectations and really able, I think, to escape the restrictions of this genre. Because when you're going to build a film around one kind of just where you're restricting yourself to just FaceTime and security camera footage, right? Where there's no camera. It's all just interactions in the technology that surrounds us. You're putting yourself in a box. And I think they do an exceptional job of doing that. I think it's very well executed in its application and use of technology as well. I think the thrills and the mystery and all that stuff works exceptionally well. I think I would agree with you. It's potentially even improved by the conceit of the film. And it's, yeah, I think this could have gone like a dark web way, but I think this was more the Unfriended. And I would think too, this may have even, I think I enjoyed this more than Unfriended. I think because the mystery, when the other film, right, is a supernatural horror film, there is more of a mystery here at the heart of the film. And what I think they do a great job too is, I don't know if you got the text I sent you where they kind of go through the Easter eggs of all the stuff.
Yeah.
And there was one of the things where they basically kind of reveal the whole film in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Basically. And I caught that.
Did you?
I did. There's the one particular thing that they show you, and I'm like, oh, that means you wouldn't. I just don't know if you would show that. That means something.
Right.
So, though I have to admit, the film kind of kept me on the edge of my seat and guessing the whole time. I think it does a great job of just keeping you guessing on what's going to happen. I was wondering as the film unfurled, I'm like, well, it's not going to be this dark, is it? The film's not. It's not that narcissistic. It
right.
So, and I won't spoil how it ends for you, but I was pleased how everything worked out. I enjoyed the subplots in the background and as well, and the clues that Anish Chaganty, the director, kind of buries in this thing as you're watching it. And also, I think it has a message too, and I think it was, dare I say, better put than Soderbergh and Unsane. A different message, but still, there's a point to this thing, and I think it was done really well. I think it's a great genre thriller. And like I said in the opening, how far we've come with this technology stuff. To keep you riveted, Matt, for that hour and a half, just looking at screens is just well done.
Yeah, I mean, they really pulled it off for sure. I mean, and you know what? I really like John Cho. I think he's always at least an entertaining part of anything that he's in. And he's come a long way from the guy who introduced the term MILF to the world at large, from American Pie. But it's, I think he's a lot of fun. He's really good. And I think a lot of the extras, the lesser known actors around him are pretty good. I wasn't really sold on Deborah Messing as the police detective, but I think as it progressed, I think what they set up for, it seemed to make sense towards the end about why I wasn't really kind of buying her performance. But otherwise, I mean, I thought everything I thought about it was really good. I was really into it. And to be quite honest with you, Again, not to spoil anything, but it does take a dark turn, and I was like, wow, they're really going to do this. And I had a lot of respect for them. I was like, this is a really kind of a downbeat ending. They kept going into darker and darker places. But like this is not a French horror film, so it only goes so far, but still.
No one is flayed and kept alive.
Yeah, exactly. And explains the secrets of the universe that'll make you kill yourself kind of thing. So there you go.
Thank goodness for that. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Cho is really good in this. I think it's the best performance I've seen of him so far. And really, hats off to everybody. It's just really well done genre fare. So I do want to see it again and kind of see if I can pick up certain things as well. I mean, the stuff they do with his brother, I mean, all that stuff, you're like, wow. And every time you think you know what's going to happen, they do a great job of just, there's a dog leg on the 9th green and you just don't see it coming. So, no, I was really impressed with it. I'm going to give Searching a B+.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a B+ as well. Obviously we're very different. This is very unusual for us to agree like this, but yeah, it's a really good, fun little film that it's a good time at the movies, which we all need.
Exactly. And I would say too, I was going back and forth on this. I'm curious about your opinion. What we used to do, and we don't do it as much on the show, is I think originally our rating system was skip it, see it in the theater, or wait for it to come home on digital or Blu-ray.
Sure.
And you'd think that this would be fine to see at home on the small screen, but I don't know if that's the case. I think that you may want to see this on the biggest screen possible so you can see all the stuff happening in the background, all the little clues and stuff that are kind of peppered through in the background screens and stuff. I mean, we're not talking Alex Jones tab territory here. But I don't know. I would actually recommend going to see this in the theater. And you know what? We always say that if we want to support stuff that we think is really good, that deserves an audience. So I would say don't wait for this. Go check it out in the theater.
I would agree with that sentiment.
And do you agree though about the presentation of it with the tech and the screens and everything?
Yeah, I mean, even with even on like a 40, 50-inch screen, I think there's a lot that you could miss. Being across the room in your own house.
Right. And one thing, AMC, again, the decision not to go with masking, I think, has been a bad thing. Because when I was watching it, I noticed on my legs that I could see part of the projected image was on my leg.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, and I wasn't like sitting up, leaning back with my legs in the air. I was just sitting. I noticed it like 2 or 3 times that it bothered me. I wish they would go back to doing that. I don't know. Fine, whatever. All right. If you had a chance to see Searching, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com, please. Coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. Well, this is coming out in 4K. Matt, I want you to listen to this. This is not an easy one. So listen to this and see if you can guess what movie this is.
So what, are you guys having a war or something?
Oh, she's pissed off because I'm taking shop. Like it embarrasses her or something. Yeah. My dad, too.
I won't embarrass them when their stupid Volvo breaks down. You fix it for free. What?
Last night, we were playing Scrabble, and it's like neck and neck between me and her. We blew my dad away early. Huh? So right at the end, I had this choice of putting down ratio for like 5 lousy points, or...
Well, what, Arnie?
Fellatio. On a triple word score for 24 points in the game.
What'd she do?
She wouldn't let me have it. She won by 7 points because she said obscenity's not allowed in Scrabble. And I looked it up, and it's in the dictionary.
You jerk, Arnie. Jesus.
So, what movie is that?
I have no idea. I don't know what the hell that is.
So Twilight Time had released this on Blu-ray a few years ago, and it sold out like instantly. So what happened is, I think, was it Sony? I can't remember now. They said, whoa, we got to release this on our own. Right. So they actually pulled it and they re-released it on themselves. And now it's getting released on 4K. And that is Stephen King's Christine.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in forever. Wow. So snapped up really quick. I don't remember it being particularly good.
I guess it's got a fan following. It's a bit of a cult film. I bought the re-release version. I didn't want to pay like the $40 for the sold-out Twilight Time one.
Right.
I bought it about 2 years ago. Haven't watched it yet. All right. So coming up on September 11th. Yay. Ocean's 8 If you get it from Best Buy, Matt, you get an exclusive steel book. Worth a rental, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where we settled.
I think that's about right.
Include some deleted scenes. The remake of Superfly is being released as well. And that's it. Those are kind of the big releases. Next on new to Blu-ray, Criterion has given us Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life. Includes a brand new 4K digital restoration, 2 cuts of the film, the theatrical and extended version as well, a new interview with Jessica Chastain and the visual effects supervisor Dan Glass, and a bunch of other new stuff. But it does include 50 extra minutes of footage. So if you're a Tree of Life fan, there you go. The Demi Moore film, The Seventh Sign, is being released from Shout Factory. That's one where she's going to have the kid that's going to usher in the apocalypse, if I remember correctly. Includes new interviews with Michael Biehn, as well as the director and a couple other actors in the film. I guess they couldn't get Demi. And then some stuff being released on 4K, Matt, for the first time. As you said, Christine. A couple animated Batman films, Assault on Arkham and The Killing Joke. And then the endlessly dull Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie.
Oh my God, that was so bad. Another fine episode from the first run that we reviewed, guys.
So straight to DVD pick of the week is Brain Dead, but not the Peter Jackson film, unfortunately, which still is wallowing away on a relatively poor DVD print. I don't know what the issue was. They can't get that on Blu-ray. Someone's got to snap that up at some point. Must be a licensing issue. This one stars Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton, the Bills. The Eunice Corporation is on the ground floor of an exciting growth industry, utilizing a memory resculpting technique pioneered by an eccentric neurosurgeon, Rex Martin, played by Bill Pullman. It envisions a nationwide clinic where anyone can lose the hangups of an unhappy childhood, a failed romance, or a botched career. At Eunice's new U outlets, a simple operation will give you customers a peace of mind. I really butchered that, didn't I? Or it might leave them brain dead. Now, Matt, this is the one, I don't know if you remember, this one stuck out to me because you know, when you'd go to the VHS store, the video store to go rent a movie, there would be the video cases that were like, whoa, the ones that would jump out at you.
Yeah.
This is the one where the guy's face is really like stretched out and pulled out and pinned around a big metal circle.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's what made me think of that. I'm like, oh, I got to grab that. I remember the VHS cover when I was a kid. So that's getting released. The non-Peter Jackson version of Brain Dead.
I'm really surprised that you haven't gotten into that whole getting cheesy VHS, like when the like big clamshell things from the 80s. That seems like something that you would be into.
You think so, but first off, why? I don't understand it because the quality is very poor.
Right.
And then the tapes can break.
Right.
So it just doesn't. I don't understand. There is a subset. And especially of like 80s, 70s, and 80s horror films, right? That seems to be the core component of this, of the VHS collector. The Grindhouse Video that's up the street from me. If you're not familiar with it, grindhousevideo.com. They have an insanely good selection of stuff. If you're a cult horror guy, they're the place to go. I love being like a quarter of a mile from that place. But they have a massive VHS collection that they're selling too. I don't get it. You know, so I decided I focus on 4K stuff, maybe the film on digital, and I'm basically just buying my favorite albums on vinyl. And I only have so much expendable income. So that's what I decided to go with.
I understand. But I mean, just because you're such a fan of the kind of 70s and 80s, like schlocky horror movies, you have a lot of like good memories about that kind of stuff. Like I just expected you to kind of get into the artwork somewhere. Now I understand you have a wife who doesn't necessarily love the idea of putting that kind of stuff up in your house, but you do have a room, which you're recording out of right now. I think you should be able to put up a really hideous 80s VHS poster somewhere in there.
I should look into that. I do have a really sweet Star Trek The Motion Picture poster.
Yeah.
I have a couple other ones. I got to swap it out at some point. But, there is a book that's in my Amazon wish list. I can't remember the name of it now. But all it is just it's a book that collects all those covers.
Yeah, well, and funny enough, I just picked up a book. Now, this is a book about books. It's called Paperbacks from Hell, but it's basically all of like the really cheesy, terrible 80s horror pulp novels with like that you would find in like the CVS and the racks and stuff like that with all their artwork and stuff that was just insane. So
that's awesome.
It's actually really cool.
That is cool. So what should we be streaming this week?
I'm going to go with a bit of a controversial choice just because of who it stars, but I'm going to go with LA Confidential. It's back available for Netflix. Stars a young Guy Pearce, a very young Russell Crowe,
And then that's Kim Basinger, I believe.
Yeah, and Kim Basinger and a disgraced person that we shall not speak about. So, which is really tough because that person is in a lot of really good movies that we really enjoy, not the least of which is Baby Driver, one of our favorite movies of last year. But this is basically a modern neo-noir, takes place in Los Angeles in the 30s, 40s, pre-war, I think, in the 30s. And basically it follows this kind of plot about missing girls and women being made to look like movie stars, and just kind of how corrupt the LA police force was at the time. It's a really good pot boiler of a movie, if you can kind of get past with some of the people that might be in it, but it's definitely worth your time if you haven't seen it.
The Mentalist is in it.
Yeah.
So I know, yeah, I actually just added it to my iPad today so I can watch it on my flight. So I'm looking forward to that ish. I like Scott Aukerman of Comedy Bang Bang. His rule is basically you're allowed to watch this stuff up to the point you found out.
Oh, okay.
So anything in the past is okay, but
Baby
going
Driver
forward,
just made the cut. It just got cut off.
Baby Driver was basically the example he was using because of that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, that's a good one, man. God, screw that guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's move on, Matt. And are you excited? So you're going to have to intro every one of these, all right?
Okay.
All right. So let's start off our martial arts marathon with a clip from Fists. Or not Fists. It's singular. Is it
singular?
It is singular. Fist of Fury.
Did anyone see you? No. They're all asleep. Did you get it? Yeah. Here it is. We ought to get going now. If they find out this is what really killed Mr. Ho, we won't stand a chance. Why does Mr. Wu want us to resign? He said the job's done. He said there's no point in staying. I resigned too. We'll go together. No one suspects us, and so then we can, the pair of us, disappear tomorrow morning. Yeah. All right? So you're Japanese? Well, so what about it? That's right, we killed your teacher. Hey, just what are you trying to do? Shut up. You really think I'm afraid of him? I'm not. Even though they say he's so good. Look at him, he's just a young fool. Hey.
So there you go. That, of course, is a scene where Bruce Lee's character finds out Chen Zhen, that the cook and some other guy are the ones that poisoned the dojo master.
Right.
So anyway, go ahead. Break it down, Matt. What is Fist of Fury all about?
So this is Bruce Lee's second starring role after The Big Boss, which interestingly and confusingly enough in America was originally called Fists of Fury. And this was called The Chinese Connection. So it gets very confusing. But this is basically his second role, and it's about Bruce Lee plays Chen Zhen, a student of a guy named Hu Yanji, who is murdered, and he decides to fight to defend the honor of the school, avenge the death of his teacher, and fight foreign aggression in the form of Japanese occupiers in Hong Kong. And it is absolutely chef's kiss fantastic. I love everything about this film. And as I told Chris, if you're going to watch this, you have to watch the dub version of it, because that is like 90% of the charm. But as somebody who's never seen really a Chinese Bruce Lee film, what did you think?
Yeah, it was all right. No, I enjoyed it. It was good. Especially the way two things even about when the thing opened. I'm like, oh, I'm going to love this thing. Because first off, there's narration in the beginning.
Right.
Where he says, basically, the narrator asks, why would you poison someone? Well, I'm going to assume to kill them. And then it has a really great opening theme that basically really just hooked me then from there. And man, I haven't seen, and I think I admitted this too, that I don't know if I've ever even seen Enter the Dragon from start to finish. I've seen moments and pieces of it, and I'd say cohesively the whole thing, but never sat and watched the whole thing from start to finish. So my Bruce Lee exposure has been rather limited, but man, he is a presence on the screen, isn't he? He just when he's on it, you're just drawn to him, and not just because of he's a specimen of a man, but he just has this kind of charisma that you just want to see what he's going to do next. So, and the martial arts, I think, was exceptionally well done. I'm a little spoiled, right? Because I think things are a lot more focused and realistic now. I think that stuff seems a little more. And I'm not talking about the stuff where I wonder if he's a superhero or not.
Right.
When he lifts the thing up in the air or whatever.
Right.
And
right.
But the cart. But still, it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this, and I just like seeing him on the screen kicking some butt. Though I got to admit, it had an ending that was a lot more morose than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So no sequels, I guess. And I read up too about I guess the distributor screwed up because I guess they were trying to cash in on the French connection on the Big Boss.
Right.
And they just swapped the titles by accident.
Okay. Instead of calling it the Chinese connection, that's why the problem was.
And that was the Chinese connection was supposed to be the Big Boss title in the U.S.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's what happened with that. And is it me or the guy who now? Pardon my ignorance on this. Who dubbed Bruce Lee's voice? Was it Bruce Lee?
No, I don't. That's not Bruce Lee. No. So the only time you ever hear Bruce Lee's actual voice speaking English is in Enter the Dragon. That's his one and only American production, and you can hear his actual voice in that.
Okay, because I enjoyed how whoever dubbed Mr. Lee was going with a John Wayne delivery, which I thought was really kind of added to it as well. It's part of the charm. And one other thing too is, man, the Foley artist must have had a blast on this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much raw meat they went through, but that budget must have been sky high. So if you're not familiar, that's typically what they do to get that sound as they slap two pieces of kind of raw steak together.
Nice.
So no, I rather enjoyed it. I settled on this with a B. I don't know if you feel that's appropriate or not, because you are the Bruce Lee fan.
Yeah. You know what? I think Bruce Lee only has a filmography of 4 films. He only had 4 films that he completed. I think they're all fantastic. I think you should watch them all. I think this one and maybe Way of the Dragon, where he fights Chuck Norris in Rome, are my 2 favorites. Whereas I think Enter the Dragon's the most competent and the most kind of coherent of the films. As Chris said, these have a certain kind of cheesy, schlocky 70s charm. And like you can see a lot of how this thing influenced. Like if you watch this, you're going to see lots of Tarantino in this. You're going to see, lots of stuff. Just the things that make it just like such a joy to watch is not only are the fight scenes, beautifully choreographed, not only is all that stuff, it's a relatively engaging and action-packed film, but just the dialogue and just how serious it is, yet still so ridiculous. I mean, there's a scene where Bruce Lee comes to the Japanese karate studio and brings a plaque that they had given them that said that the Chinese are the sick men of Asia. And he says he's going to make them eat those words. So he walks into this thing, into this dojo while they're all practicing. And the leader looks at it very seriously, bursts into laughing, just like a stereotypical like anime laugh, and then immediately stops and goes, okay, and gives it the thumbs up. And then his henchman walks up to Bruce Lee and says, oh, you think you're pretty tough, huh? Well, you must be tired of living. And it's just all of that is it's just so literal and it's fantastic. I mean, the boss guy telling, let's go beat him up. That is just fantastic. You can't get past that stuff. It's fantastic.
I like too. You know what it reminded me of? And this may sound weird. He reminded me of James Dean. Because of the mannerisms and how he moved, and
well, I believe Bruce Lee was a big James Dean fan. Like I think he really enjoyed the films of James Dean, so he might have been, unconsciously or consciously mimicking a little bit of his performances because he was an idol.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like the little nose brush that he does, and
he's got some mannerisms. Like you don't hurt Bruce Lee. You don't You don't make him bleed his own blood because he's gonna taste it and then it's all over for you.
That's right. I kept saying that a bunch of times too out loud. I'd be like when the guy was slapping him in the beginning, I'm like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to beat up. You don't want to hit Bruce Lee like that.
You do not.
So all I can say is I would, even though Big Boss is the first one, that's a little hard to find for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't seen it in a long time. I actually prefer this to Big Boss, and I would definitely see Way of the Dragon, where you can see him rip out Chuck Norris's chest hair with his bare hands, and then see Enter the Dragon as kind of like the kind of culmination or the nadir of his filmography.
Got it. And so, which is the one with Kareem?
That one, okay, so that one is called Game of Death, and basically,
that's like a stuntman or something that takes his place, or
yeah. So that was the film he was making when he died. So the only piece of that film, his idea was that he would go up this pagoda, which is like a castle, and each level of the pagoda would have a different karate guy he would have to fight until he got to the top, and that's where the main bad guy would be. So that's the only part that they filmed, was him fighting all those people, and one of which was Kareem on one of the levels, which is hilarious to watch. Kareem kicks him in the chest, and like he stands up, he's got a footprint that goes from his neck to his belly button to show how big the size difference. Nice. Yeah, the rest of the film is all shot like with a stunt double, like from behind, wearing a wig, and all. It's just terrible. So I mean, watch it for completion's sake, but it's not anything you have to see.
All right. And how does he know that? So in that clip we played, how does he know the other guy's Japanese? Is it the dressing he's wearing underneath his?
Yeah, he's wearing like a traditional, like kind of Japanese body wrap underneath it, I guess. And I think that's what gives him away.
I was wondering. I'm assuming that's what it was, but I'm rather ignorant to it, so I had no idea. All right. So what's up next? I'm excited.
I think we're gonna watch the 5 Venoms.
Ooh, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed too there was at least one musical piece that Tarantino straight out lifted. That it was in, I think, in one of the Kill Bills. I can't, maybe in Glorious Bastards, but yeah. So, and you could definitely see the influences too in Kill Bill in this thing.
Yeah.
So fantastic. So I gave it a B. Should we ask you what your grade is? Should we? Is it appropriate?
I'm gonna give it an A- because I just love it. Okay. It's just, I have a special soft spot in my heart for this one.
Sounds good.
Now, a couple of these I haven't seen, so we're going to be watching them at the same time. They're just classics I never caught up with of the genre.
And you haven't seen the one where the guy who plays Bruce Lee who goes to hell?
No, the final one that we're going to watch, I have not seen that one. No, I have not seen whatever that one is. I forget.
And James Bond and whoever else is in there.
Yeah.
Way. I don't know who's in it. All right. If you've seen The Chinese Connection or Fist of Fury, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. So now we're going to break down the 2018 summer bracket. Now, originally we were actually going to do the Rotten Tomatoes score game. So the clip I have set for this is for that.
Okay.
So I'm just going to play it.
Sure, go ahead.
I went through all that work. All right.
Sure, do it.
All right, here you go. So here's a clip that's going to apply to next week. So enjoy.
You are the father of Jane and Michael Banks, are you not? I said you are the father of Jane and Michael Banks.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, you brought your references, I presume. May I see them?
Oh, I make it a point never to give references. A very old-fashioned idea to my mind.
Is that so? We'll have to see about that then, won't we?
Now then, the qualifications. Item 1, a cheery disposition. I am never cross. Item 2, rosy cheeks. Obviously. Item 3, play games all sorts. Well, I'm sure the children will find my games extremely diverting.
This paper, where did you get it from? I thought I'd tore it up.
Excuse me. Item 4, you must be kind. I am kind, but extremely firm. Have you lost something?
Ah! Yeah, that paper, you see. I thought that I...
You are George Banks, are you not?
What?
And you did advertise for a nanny, did you not?
George Banks.
Very well, then.
I told you.
I beg your pardon, are you ill?
I hope not.
So that's a clip from the original Mary Poppins, because the was going to be a teaser, but we didn't end up choosing Mary Poppins.
We didn't.
As part of that, the sequel, Mary Poppins Returns with Emily Blunt. is coming out. But so next week is going to be a Rotten Tomato score contest. Should we tell the people what the films are?
Sure.
All right. So here are the ones we've chosen, and we'll give you the numbers next week. The Predator, Venom, Halloween, Bohemian Rhapsody, Suspiria, Overlord, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Aquaman, and Holmes and Watson. So those are the films in the latest. Now, I have clearly won last year. And yeah, so we'll see how.
Oh wait, do we have stakes this year? Do we have stakes this year?
Of course.
We playing for another $35 gift card?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good. I like it's like 35 too.
Well, no, I think the original plan
was 25, but you won
25, but then and like a $10 gift card to the movies, and then like a $25 gift card to a restaurant. But since Chris doesn't like to eat and just wants to stay inside all the time, he just said, "Just give me the movie stuff." So I said, "Fine." That's what I did.
All right, so here's the 2018 summer bracket. Here's what we ended up with. All right, Matt, do you have your list in front of you?
I do.
All right, so I'll run down the left side, which is superheroes and action adventure, and you can do comedies and potpourri.
Okay.
So we had superheroes. We had Avengers Infinity War v. Deadpool.
Right.
I chose Avengers, as did you.
Yes, that's true.
Next bracket was Incredibles 2 and Ant-Man and the Wasp. I chose Incredibles 2, and you chose Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Correct.
So, were you? Do you think Avengers was better than Deadpool 2? Were you right about that?
I think that was 100% right. That is obviously the right choice.
I think so. And then Incredibles 2, are you sticking with Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yeah, I am. I actually really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I enjoyed it. I saw it multiple times in the theater. So, there you go.
I chose Incredibles 2, and it was good.
Yeah.
But which one am I going to watch again? It's going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp.
There you go.
So I was wrong about that. And the funny thing is that blows up my entire bracket. Why don't you go over to comedies? We'll go back and forth. Let's go ahead.
All right. So the first one was Tag versus Tully. I think we both picked Tully on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Life of the Party versus the Happy Time Murders. I believe we both picked the Happy Time Murders on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I 100% agree that Tully was head and shoulders better than Tag.
Mm-hmm.
And then Happy Time Murders and Life of the Party, both turds, but like it's like Life of the Party is kind of like a discreet, non-stinky turd, whereas Happy Time Murders is absolutely horrible, but at least it tried to do something. So I guess I would go with Happy Time Murders just because they tried to do something, I think. Even though it's gross. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. The thing really made me angry. I think I may go with Life of the Party just on the strength of the ensemble cast.
Okay. It's fair enough. I mean, really, it's really, picking between, two different types of shit, but I mean, still, what can I say?
All right. Action adventure.
Okay.
We had Solo, A Star Wars Story versus Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
And then the other bracket was Sicario, Day of the Soldado, and Mission Impossible Fallout.
Right.
So for Solo, A Star Wars Story, and Jurassic World, we both chose Solo.
Yes, that's 100% true.
You stick with that?
Yes, I definitely. I mean, Solo, I was not as bad as the nerd contingent made it out to be. I thought it was plenty entertaining, had some great scenes. Donald Glover was a delight to watch, whereas Jurassic World really doesn't have much to recommend it at all. I will probably never watch that movie again.
Yeah, you're entirely right. I agree with that. Which brings us to, I think, the largest error on this sheet, which is Sicario, Day of the Soldado versus Mission Impossible Fallout. Yep. We both chose Sicario too.
Yeah, because we are stupid. We are really stupid. I don't know why we did that. I think just because the first Sicario is so good, we just assumed that some of that would rub off, and we had to figure there would be diminishing returns with MI Fallout.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, but no. Nope. Super wrong on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Potpourri.
Up to a minute.
Yes,
Potpourri. All right. So we had Upgrade versus Hereditary and Ocean's 8 with a last minute change just because we had initially Silver Lake on here and that got pushed. So it's being released later in the year. So we replaced it with 8th Grade. I think we both picked Silver Lake, so I think it's
Yes,
fair
we
to
did.
say that we would have said 8th grade was what we would have picked over Ocean's 8. I believe that's 100% true. That's
Yes.
the right choice.
Correct.
8th grade is a delight of a little indie film. And I think we both picked Hereditary over Upgrade, which I think is also true. I think that's the right answer. At least it is for me. As much as I enjoyed Upgrade, I was surprised at how strong it was, and how much I enjoyed it. I think Hereditary is the kind of film that sticks with you a lot longer.
I agree. I agree with both of those. I think 8th grade over Ocean's 8 and Hereditary over Upgrade.
Yeah.
I agree entirely.
Okay.
All right. So, next heat. Avengers
Yes.
Infinity War versus, for me, Incredibles 2, which was wrong.
Right.
It would be Ant-Man versus the Wasp.
Okay.
So, Avengers Infinity War versus Ant-Man versus the Wasp.
See, this is a tough one. I think I went with Avengers, and I think I would still stick with that today, just because of the spectacle of Avengers and just everything it did and the culmination of what it accomplished. But Ant-Man and the Wasp is a lot of fun. It really is a fun little kind of self-contained Marvel movie. But I think Avengers is still the right answer.
Agreed. That is correct.
Yeah.
It would be Avengers. All right. Comedies, Matt.
Comedies, we would have had then Tully versus the Happy Time Murders. I think that's no contest. Or Life of the Party in your case. I think I'm going to go with
Still.
I mean, obviously Tully's the right choice.
Yep. Correct. Tully is the correct choice.
Mm-hmm.
Action adventure. Solo versus, Mission Impossible Fallout now.
Yeah. Since we're making a punt now, if it was Solo versus Sicario, obviously Solo would be better. But
yes,
I don't think as much fun I had with Solo. I think in my Fallout is probably one of the best action movies I've seen in the last 2-3 years. So I would have to go with my Fallout.
I agree. Solo now would overtake Sicario for me, though it didn't in the past.
Yeah.
But MI6 or Fallout would beat both of those for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
And then Hereditary versus 8th grade. Now this is tough. This is really tough. And you know what? I think I would go with 8th grade over Hereditary.
Yeah, I think so.
That's not what we chose. We chose Hereditary to make it to the Final Four, but
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I did.
I had Silver Lake.
Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah, but I think 8th grade is the better film.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
And I think part of that is just because.
Do you want to revisit that again?
Yeah, well, I mean, Hereditary is just such a slow burn, and it's good, and it's tough to watch in a lot of parts. And whereas 8th grade is tough to watch in some parts, but you really feel emotionally connected with the characters, which in a good way. Whereas I didn't necessarily feel that in a good way with a lot of the characters in Hereditary. So just because 8th grade made me feel better, I'm going to go with that one.
Right. I feel that. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
So, though I am going to be picking up Hereditary on 4K. Though I found out it doesn't have a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. It just has a...
It's messed up.
A DTS thing, whatever. Jerks.
Yeah.
All right. So it's... I had Incredibles v. Sicario.
Yeah.
Which, no.
It's wrong.
When it should be Avengers v.
MI Fallout. Yeah. Well, I had Avengers and Solo. I had Avengers at least, right? But that's a tough one, Chris. At the risk of being kicked off this show, I'm going to have to go with Avengers just because I think I'm more of a comic book fanboy than I am a fan of just kind of the action genre. As good as it was, and as much fun as I had with it, I think I'm still going with Avengers Infinity War.
Fallout's the correct answer.
You think so?
Oh yeah. I think because it's just just the presence of Tom Cruise in that film and how well that McQuarrie orchestrates that whole thing. I think I'll tell you this one. I know which one I'm going to rewatch more. It's going to be Fallout.
See, and that's I would say the opposite is true for me, for sure.
So all right. So then you got what?
We've got Tully versus 8th grade. That is a battle of indie darlings right there. But yes, I'd still have to go with 8th grade. 8th grade didn't give me PTSD like Tully did. So
yeah. So then there you go. For me, it's Fallout v. 8th grade when originally it was Incredibles 2 versus Silver Lake or 8th grade, which that one 8th grade would have won as well. So I had originally chosen Incredibles 2 to rule them all.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But now I have Fallout v 8th grade. And I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go for the 2018 summer movie bracket. I'm popping that for a reason. I'm going to go with Fallout.
Okay. So I had Avengers. I think Avengers versus Hereditary, or originally. But now it would be Avengers versus 8th grade. And I chose Avengers, and I'm sticking with Avengers. That is the true 2018 movie of the summer.
There you go. So I had Fallout as the film of the summer, and you had Avengers. Congratulations.
Yep. Well, so I hope somebody emails me and tells me how wrong you are and how right I am. So
I'm sure a lot of people will.
Yeah.
They'd be wrong, but I'm sure a lot of people will do that because Lord knows the comic book fan base is very forgiving and understanding.
Like, you're not a comic book fanboy. Come on now.
I am, but you don't see me online proclaiming how great Batman vs Superman is all the time and how it's the greatest superhero movie of all time. And
Justice League B film. It's a B film.
No, I was Batman vs Superman, as I was saying, was a B film.
It's a B film.
It's a C+ film.
Can you please? Please, you'd have just got to watch Teen Titans Go to the Movies just for the Batman v Superman scene. It is freaking hilarious.
I'm already suffering from PTSD thanks to Zack Snyder and David Goyer. I don't need to have it rubbed in my face with a winking nod. Next week, let's see what we got coming up. All right. So there's two films, Matt. We got to decide what we're going to do. They have The Nun and Peppermint. Both stellar reviews right now. We may actually be able to get Espo on for Peppermint.
Really? Not The Nun?
Jennifer Garner.
I know, but he likes horror movies. So I thought maybe The Nun too.
We'll let him choose. We'll see him tomorrow. We'll let him choose. Though, you know what? I'm honest with you. I'm seeing both. I'm going to see both.
Are you?
So,
okay. All right.
You don't have to because we're doing the 5 Venoms.
Yeah.
So you choose whichever one. If you want to, knock yourself out. But I will see both.
Okay.
So, all right. That's going to be the big show for this week. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Scroll. You will eventually find us. Go to Apple Podcasts and give us a quick review. That's how you can get other people to find this show. And of course, I will review that review. I said it last time too. I will read that review. I would never dare to review a review.
You're not going to critique it?
No. I'm a big enough hack as it is.
Right, it's true.
So we're going to leave you with an extended stinger this week because I feel it was the only way to do it. So we'll see you all in a week, and so long, Bert.
Where are we going? No, don't tell me. Let me guess. We are a bride in search of a wedding.
No.
No?
There is a wedding in search of a bride. Let me put it another way. Think of it as a wedding posse in search of a bride. Do you understand that, cowboy?
Yeah. What are you doing?
These are my shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And these are my legs.
Yeah. What are you going to do with them?
With the shoes or the legs?
Last time I saw legs like that, they had a message tied to them.
What do you mean? These are great little legs. I'm a professional.
Well, in that case, you shouldn't be dressed in white.
Dancer.
Oh.